All right, let's dive into a story that just flips the script on everything we think we know about building a business online. You know the drill. We're told you need this huge following, a personal brand, you got to pump out endless content. But what if that's all wrong? Today, we're going to break down how one entrepreneur built a massive empire by being, well, practically invisible.
So, check this out. This is the core puzzle of the whole story. On one side, you have over $15 million in revenue, just a massive number. And on the other side, at the peak of his business, the founder had 300 YouTube subscribers. 300. Some of his videos were getting just 200 views. I mean, this isn't just unusual, it feels totally impossible in today's creator economy.
So that's the big question, right? How do you actually build a business of that scale without an audience, without a personal brand, without playing that whole influencer game? Well, the answer starts in a really, really unexpected place.
See, this wasn't some grand plan. The entire company, which was founded by a trader named William Brown, it really just started by accident. It began not with some fancy business plan, but with a simple request from a friend and an even simpler document.
What's so fascinating here is how the product basically built itself. It kicked off when a friend paid him £50 just to watch him trade for a couple of hours, and the result was a one-page Word doc. Then, based on feedback, that doc evolved into a 95-pound ebook, then a 250-pound Dropbox folder with videos, and eventually a $1,500 program. The price and the value just grew in perfect lockstep with what his customers were actually asking for.
And this quote from him just says it all. Brown wasn't sitting around guessing what people wanted. His first few customers were literally telling him what to build next, what problems they were having, and what was missing. He was co-creating with his market from day one.
But you know, co-creating a product is one thing. Scaling it to over $1 million a year without a personal brand, that's a whole different ballgame. And this is where he stopped relying on what you might call hope-based marketing, like posting on social media, and instead built a cold, hard, predictable machine.
This was it. This was the entire customer journey. No blog posts, no free content, no endless email sequences. It was just a simple, direct path. Someone who had never even heard of him would see an ad, watch a short video, book a call, and, get this, within an average of 3 days could become an $8,500 customer. So efficient.
Now, the heart of this machine was the VSL, the video sales letter. And here's the key thing to understand. This 12-minute video wasn't trying to sell the whole program. Its only job, its one single goal, was to sell the next step, booking that sales call. Every piece of the funnel had one job, and it did it perfectly. And you can just forget about fancy production. One of his best-performing ads of all time had no face, no video, nothing. It was a static picture of a financial chart with some subtitles and a voiceover. So why did it work so well? Because the copywriting was absolutely perfect. He knew his audience's pain points so intimately that the words, not the visuals, did all the heavy lifting. He also understood his numbers with incredible precision. He knew it cost him, on average, exactly $330 to get one qualified prospect to show up for a sales call. And when you know your numbers this well, you don't need a following, you just need a budget. You can literally buy growth, predictably. Okay, so how do you make math like that work? Well, you can't be selling a cheap product, right? And this led to probably his most counterintuitive strategy, charging a very high price. And not just for profit, but actually for the sake of his customers. This insight is just fascinating. He found that every single time they raised the price, the number of customer problems and complaints actually went down. And at the same time, their success rates and positive feedback went up. The price itself was acting like a filter. The logic behind it is pretty simple when you think about it. You know, low-ticket prices, they often attract people who aren't fully committed. They've got less skin in the game. But high-ticket customers, they are invested. They show up, they do the work, and they're way more committed to getting a result because their investment is significant. So he went from $1,500 to $3,500, and then eventually all the way up to $8,500 for his main program. And each jump wasn't just some arbitrary decision. As the cost to acquire a customer through ads went up, he had to raise the price to keep a healthy profit margin and continue to scale. It was a purely economic decision. Now, for most people, this is probably where the story would end, right? A super profitable lifestyle business. But Brown made one final crucial pivot. He stopped thinking about building a business to run and started thinking about building an asset to sell. This piece of advice he got from a mentor changed absolutely everything.
He'd been told his business, which was so built around his name and his face, was basically unsellable. But his mentor corrected him. Anything is sellable. You just have to build it for the right buyer. So he got to work. He systematically removed himself from the business. He took his face off all the branding. He built out departments so the company didn't rely on him for anything. He rebranded. Basically, he made himself irrelevant to the day-to-day operations. And by doing that, he turned a personality-driven company into a systems-driven one. And that is what made it so attractive to a private equity firm.
And that amazing insight about becoming sellable, it didn't come out of nowhere. It's super important to point out that he didn't figure all this out on his own. He invested over $200,000 in his own education, joining these high-level masterminds to learn from people who had already solved the exact problems he was facing. He called it buying speed, getting the right answer immediately instead of wasting years on trial and error.
So when you put it all together, you see two completely different playbooks. The traditional route says, build a brand first, create tons of free content, sell low-ticket stuff, and build a lifestyle business. Brown's playbook was the exact opposite. Build a killer product first, use paid ads to get leads, go high-ticket right away for scale, and build a sellable asset from day one.
And ultimately, this whole story leaves us with one powerful question to think about. In an age that is just obsessed with followers and likes and personal brands, this story forces us to ask something different. What if the most reliable, the most scalable, and in the end, the most valuable approach has nothing to do with being famous and everything to do with building a quiet, efficient, and powerful machine?